Salinas, California, the heart of the notorious Salinas Valley. The Salinas Valley is known to many as the salad bowl of America, as it grows half of the nation's lettuce, broccoli, cauliflower, and 80% of the artichokes. Along with its strong agricultural representation, Salinas also has a long-known history of crime in the city. Gangs and many other forms of crime have plagued the city for multiple generations. Unlike many cities nearby, though, Salinas is not known for its performance in a field crucial to the quality of life: education.
Dan, it's a list that, no matter which way you look at it, is really riling up the Salinas community. Out of 150 cities that were compared in this list, Beaumont, Texas came out as the least educated city, Salinas right behind it.
The study referred to in the last clip measures the level of education by how many citizens had a high school diploma, college experience, or higher education degrees. It also examined the quality of the public schools. In order to answer the question of why Salinas consistently ranks as one of the least educated cities in the entire country, I decided to dig into why our schools are so behind compared to other nearby schools in cities like San Jose, San Francisco, Carmel, and Monterey. To start off, I looked into how schools in Salinas stacked up against local areas like Carmel and Monterey. GreatSchools.org measured the quality of education at different schools based on several key factors, such as state test scores, graduation rates, and how many students meet the UC/CSU entrance requirements. When looking at the scores for these schools, the reason for the level of education in the city starts to reveal itself. The vast majority of the schools on the map are below or way below average. When looking at LSL High School, for example, the percentage of students who graduate while also being ready for college is below average. There is a night and day difference when we look at schools like Carmel and Monterey High, who blow us out of the water. In order to find the specific issues that caused this, I decided to go directly to the source, the educators. After interviewing several educators in the city, I found that a lot of them agreed on several issues like location being a major factor.
Again, yeah, it's like you're rural. In order to grow crops, you have to be rural. And so you're separated from a lot of different opportunities that could exist. Like a kid growing up in LA who's low income might have access still to so many different opportunities that are out there.
It's a multi-level problem, dude. One of them is low socioeconomic. You got poor kids. You got a poor community. I mean, financially poor and probably ethically poor too. Mentally poor and emotionally poor. And so you get all those kids packed into an area, in this case our community, city, and the last thing they want to do is go to school. It's a chore to them.
Yeah.
So problem number one is in their minds, man. They don't.
Everyone I spoke to seemed to agree that Salinas is not an ideal environment to learn. I completely agree with that, and what we end up seeing is that students are like roses and they're forced to grow from concrete. Another issue people seem to agree on was that the students and parents are also a big part of the problem. Behavioral issues can be traced back to the parents who were most likely once a part of the same school system. Another issue I initially thought might have been the biggest reason for the lack of quality of education was the lack of funds towards the schools and the teachers. But the teachers I interviewed gave me a different perspective as to what really was the problem.
Yeah. That's the system, regardless of if you paid me $1 million, as the way we have it, and the problem that I think you're looking at is there's a union. You know what a union is?
Yeah.
We're not going to get fired, dude. Mm-hmm. So if you paid me $10 million a year for me to sit on my ass, go for it.
Just need to pay our teachers more. I don't know that like another $10,000 a year is going to make me a better teacher. It's not about the teachers we have. It's about recruiting the people that we don't have. So for example, there's people who end up becoming in other positions because the pay is so much greater and they wouldn't even consider going into teaching, who could actually be really dynamic teachers. And so the workforce that we recruit oftentimes are people who teaching isn't their first choice. Teaching might have been their 7th or 8th choice. And they don't necessarily have the skills to do it. And if teaching paid like we paid doctors and nurses and fill in the blank, you might see a significant increase in student performance because it would recruit. In our community, to me, the school board trustees are, not all of them, but many are, they don't really know the field of education, and so they're not experts on it, even if they've been in education in the past before. Again, there's an exception or two on the board. So it's more like they're just taking the direction of whoever's telling them what to do, and whether it's other teachers or administrators or superintendents, and they're not experts. They could actually have say and set agenda and direction if they wanted to, but they don't even know what they need to say.
Since the teacher union was a common area of concern, I decided to look into their policies. The Salinas Valley Federation of Teachers has a contract that shows that it's very hard for a teacher to be transferred from a school, and seemingly impossible to be fired. A teacher has to have 2 consecutive unsatisfactory yearly evaluations just for a simple transfer to happen. There isn't anywhere in the contract that covers the topic of termination, unpaid leave, or anything along those lines. I looked into public records of teachers that had been fired in Salinas, and along with personal recollections of being in the system, teachers only seem to be fired if they commit very serious criminal offenses. Let's go back to the transfers I previously brought up. Articles 9 and 10 show that teachers are evaluated at a lot more in the beginning of their career, which coincidentally, before a lot of them experience teacher burnout. Teacher burnout is even more prevalent in low-income schools. According to a study done by McKinsey, almost 40% of teachers in low-income districts, like Salinas, admitted they plan on leaving the profession, which is 20% more likely than in those that are higher income. Another interesting thing that I found when reading the contract is that teachers with more time in the district are evaluated less and less. So what are the effects of this overpowered contract? Since teachers have such a strong support from the union, they have an overwhelming amount of job security. This seems like an amazing idea, as it helps teachers who have been unfairly targeted, such as the elderly and teachers of color. Like too much of anything though, the amount of job security these teachers have has gone too far. Now we are seeing a cycle of teachers coming into the profession where they get torn apart by the students, parents, and the lack of support. Those same teachers then don't want to put up with the stress they went through at the start of their careers. This is why we see a lot of low-quality teachers that act the way that they do, because the union allows them to do so. The next stage of the cycle is when a lot of poor teachers create a lot of poor students who have children, and those children grow up without respect towards the education system that failed their parents and continues to fail their peers. This is a cycle that has haunted the education system in Salinas for multiple generations. We can start taking steps in the right direction today to break the cycle. We as a community need to start showing up to the board meetings, which are open to the public on the 2nd and the 4th Tuesday of the month. We need to advocate for there to be much more scrutiny on teachers while also increasing pay in order to compensate for the additional stress. Next, I will show you some more clips and quotes in support of the solution.
To me, we have everything that it takes right here, I guess. I don't think that we need some sort of gimmicky outside technological tool to do this. The thing that's most inspiring are former students, and in the research they're called near peers, like they're near in age, and those are mentor models for them who inspire. You know, I was just talking to a senior the other day where it was like, when I hear from former students on their experience in engineering, that does so much more for me than necessarily what teachers are doing. And so to me, like, as we build in an alumni network and as we have people who are now working in the field that they wanted to be in, that's different than just agriculture, and we're able to connect our students to that, that will have a significant impact on education. Like creating vision, that's really, if someone doesn't have a vision, they're going to fail at whatever it is that they want to do. But as soon as they develop a vision, it's a different story.
As stated by the teachers, simply throwing money at the issue won't do anything. As can be seen by the budget, the schools have the necessary resources to operate properly. We as a community need to hold them accountable and make sure our taxes are being used to better the future generation. So as a summary, the additional pay would attract better quality candidates into the city, and the increased scrutiny would get rid of low quality teachers. In turn, this generational cycle would slowly improve every year. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you join me in the fight to better the city I am very proud to be from.